This
we
is why
assume morals, we can just apply it to the real world.
this is why you
from that
guys have
assumption,
nothing in
right?
terms of morality. Like
But
you
the
guys are just
question-
void and
the question is
nihilistic
just
as
trying to
fuck.
get to the
This is why
argument.
people like Jordan
The question
Peterson
is
still
just trying
half
to
of
get
your
to the
fan,
argument
like
as to
half the atheists.
why, or if there is actually anything intrinsically called morals on like a fundamental level, right? Is it the case that it's just like some sort of thing that human beings have brought about to help them kind of work together, or is there something fundamental you can point to in any situation and say that is fundamentally moral, no matter whether what the context?
Well, I mean, it gets spiritual where you start talking, you use astrophysics language where you're like, oh, well, we are one with the universe. You get into the Alan Watts language where it's like, we are the universe. So our tendencies and desires, it's equivalent to the universe's tendencies and desires.
Claims. So can we get the
So
argument
These
for moral
guys are so
realism,
fucking
please?
cookie cutter new atheists. It's
Yeah,
just
these
trash.
this is just rhetoric, right? Can we get the argument for moral realism instead of you just like begging the question and
So
defining
these
Are you
things
appealing
over
to
and
like
they're
the
over?
left
notion
with
that
this
because
void of like
there's
nihilism
some
and not being
natural
able to
facts
like
that matter as to how human beings are,
produce
that's
any
what makes them
coherent moral structure. And this is what
John.
leaves people like Jordan Peterson feeling in that void, stealing all the atheists and shit away.
I'm just asking a question. Is it? Are you appealing to some sort of kind of fundamental nature of humans that is as moral, or is it like because the way the universe is, there could be no other way?
Listen,
other
we
than
are
way
the
it is?
universe. Listen, remember that famous quote? We are the universe's attempt to understand
Yeah,
Yeah, I
itself.
remember the famous quote, smoke weed every day, but that's not a good
I
idea.
know you guys think those are just fucking dumbass quotes, right? You guys are fucking so. You guys have cut yourself off, right?
Look, we're not going to get the argument from him, right?
Acknowledging quotes like that, but it does make sense to some people.
We're going to have to just ask him the questions and like spoon feed him until he comes.
You guys haven't answered anything I've said, right? I'm getting attacked by 3 different fucking little pricks all at once. You guys are garbage.
It's going to have to be the case that we do always work for him, right?
You guys are talking over each other to try to address me. What a bunch of dumb fucks.
Look, why don't you guys just let Alex talk to him?
Oh boy.
Oh fuck.
I yield the mic.
I mean, you're not providing any kind of like actual context for moral.
Yeah, you said that fucking 10 times, dude.
Bro, I mean, you're asking for us to respond to something that you're not even.
I said the same thing. I said the same thing like 3 times now. You haven't added anything either.
And the same thing that you said every single time is just as meaningless as the last. What the fuck do you want me to say? I can tell
Listen,
you what
just go
my
pet your
stages
cat.
of morals are. I think that there's a situational morality among everyone. I don't think that there's absolutes for anything. And I think that's
you might as well get Darth Dawkins in here and start talking about absolute
truth now.
truth now.
Explain what moral realism is for 10 minutes and expect us to respond to nothingness. A little bit absurd in my opinion. But I mean, there, you happy? A response?
Has anyone ever rendered the XY argument to John?
Listen, this debate's been going on for so long, and it's just clear as day that there's like I said before, I tried to make it simple, try to make this conversation go 5 minutes long. I said there's this thing called concept revision. Right? I said that there's this thing called concept revision, and most people, what they mean by moral realism today is that there are right and wrong answers on a pragmatic scale of the question of well-being of human beings. That's all
So
they
what
mean
you're
by
talking
it.
about
And it's
isn't
because of
even
people
moral
like Sam
realism.
Harris, right? I know all of you motherfuckers in here that are having all these issues with objective truth or realism. You guys hate what Sam Harris is.
Pragmatism is not realism, though.
All right, but let's just acknowledge that you guys hate what Sam Harris is saying. The people who hate moral
you
realism.
acknowledge that
You're not
pragmatism
Sam
is not
Harris.
realism.
Yeah,
It
pragmatism
sounds like
is
you're
not
just
realism.
agreeing
That's
with us that you're not a moral realist.
I told you guys in a sense that I'm a moral realist. Like I told you, if we knew everything there is about the human brain and we could map out morality and the right and wrong answers, and we wrote it all down, and everyone died, every single human being went extinct, I still believe that if some intelligent alien life form came down and read this information, they would still have a complete understanding of the well-being of human beings.
That sentence is meaningless,
So
by the way.
in that sense, listen, in that sense, this information holds. It's true.
I'm
It's
losing
true in that
so many
sense.
brain cells right now.
So
Hey, just a correction for the room's
like I
benefit.
said, the objective
sentence, every single
morals
human
that these
being
people are
goes
searching
extinct,
for, it's
doesn't
derived from
biologically
pure
make
fucking
sense.
autism, man. These guys know what they're doing. They're just playing a fucking script that's been played for fucking ever now. It's old. That's why Sam Harris has picked up the torch and led
Yeah,
you
that's
atheists
cool.
out of that fucking
It's
void
like-
nihilism you faggots are in right now.
Is saying that every single human being goes extinct like almost like an anti?
Yeah, that's what I was pointing. Like the sentence, "every single human being goes extinct," doesn't biologically make sense. right?
Oh, you're gonna attack
an
that
individual.
after everything I said. Just
I'm
ignore
sorry.
the point.
I'm
That's
sorry. I'm sorry.
The more-
Oh, excuse me,
Well,
What
it
is
is the
everybody.
case.
Full lunch table, and these
It
idiots
is
are
the
just
case-
fucking
it
trying
is
to
the
troll
case
each
that,
other
like,
the whole time.
It is the case that like the most interesting thing that came out of that monologue was like like a funny discrepancy. In
You
your
didn't listen to
language. So
anything
that
that I
is like a
said.
testament
Right.
to your level of
There's nothing
discourse.
to listen to, bro.
I'm wasting my
Luke is
breath
correct.
on you
The
little
point is
autistic
just to
fucks.
say that like
You
an
really are.
individual can't comprise a species, right? And extinct is a qualifier we use with respect to species. So the sentence doesn't make sense.
Yeah, talk about fucking autistic. These guys zone in on something completely irrelevant. Ignore the fucking point because I'm just fucking them in their asses. No lube.
That's a very
just
good
garbage.
argument, John.
Oh man, is this guy the only person in here that doesn't think rationally? Like,
No,
is there
we
anyone else?
have
Nope.
we curate them. Yeah, we have.
Yeah,
we've
there's like an
collected many of
entire
them.
cast of characters. It's like Batman villains, and this is fucking Arkham.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I was
Yeah.
looking for Darth Dawkins. I got the wrong room.
Listen, I keep it. You
Darth-
guys are
hold
lucky
on.
that I keep it so
Alex,
real with you guys.
Alex,
Like you
John,
guys
John,
are
shut
running into the fact
talking
that
to
people
Alex now.
don't agree with you
John,
on what
John, shut up.
moral realism
John,
is.
shut up. I'm talking to Alex.
You
now.
guys are just
I'll
having
back.
tantrum attacks. Oh, that's not what
Oh my
moral
God.
realism is.
I'm not talking to you right now, John. Alex, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Darth
What's up?
Dawkins hangs out in blue politics right now. If you want,
Oh, yeah. I don't know if
he has his own room. It's called the Atheist Helpline. Although I think he's taking a break right now. I think he's taking a break right now because he had a falling out with Doobie because one of the mods muted him for saying.
Well,
no, they rectified that. He's back in.
is there like
Oh,
a
sweet.
someone needs to hurry up and make like a politics like news channel on YouTube so we can keep up to date with all the shit that's going on.
It is called Tom Rabbit with 3 T's at the end.
All right, is that you?
No, it's me.
No,
Click
it's
my
Tom
profile.
Unboxes.
Click my
Baller.
profile. The YouTube link is there.
Baller. I mean,
There's
it's
also some other channels that compile stuff like Lancer Plays LOL. Godless uploads some stuff. I think Bogan uploads stuff too.
yeah, no. I mean, it'd be nice to get an actual intelligent conversation out of this instead of getting tirade by
Alex, have
but
you
like-
meaningless.
spoken to
Dude, you're a little autistic dumbass.
Alex? Have you spoken
Right.
to Darth before?
Yeah, but you're
Um,
not going to get an
You
intelligent.
spend too much time
No, no, no,
online.
no,
You
no,
had
no, no.
you didn't add anything to the dialogue. You're a fucking idiot.
I was more interested in hearing like a long.
You're just an annoying little fuck, man. Go get some friends or something, man.
I'm on my way to the gym right
Stop
now by
worrying about
myself.
some fucking 50, 60-year-old fucking dude on Discord.
I know.
What the fuck
but
is wrong with you, man?
I'm gay, man. He turns me on.
Don't be like the rest of these cookie cutters.
This is also my justification for stalking Darth Dawkins. I'm glad we share a mode.
Now I think I understand why he didn't like what I said about social media.
Darth Dawkins is a daddy, and I must have.
Oh boy. Yeah.
It's that gruff, deep exterior voice, isn't it? It's just like,
Yes.
Can you
You know, one of the main reasons why your worldview, the shit that you guys are spewing right now is so garbage, is because it leads to moral relativism, and the way moral relativism is played out politically is so dangerous. It's fucking absurd.
Moral
But you
relativism
people like
follows
there's a
from
lot of hatred for
anti-realism.
people
Yes.
like you. You people are hated, man, like really bad by like Sam Harris. Like you guys are so cancerous. You don't even realize it because you guys don't even take any of this shit serious. Like you're just
Can
a
you
bunch of
give me-
trolls. You
Hold
just
on,
want to be
John, can you
autistic
give
and
me-
argue and shit.
Can you give
That's
me
why.
the entailment?
That's why I mentioned Steven Pinker's wife shitting on all the
Can you-
professors. She says straight
we-
up, they're
can
all a
you
bunch
give
of
me-
fucking privileged idiots who don't
John,
live in
John.
the real world, just like
John,
you
John.
guys.
John, can you give me the moral anti-realism to moral relativism?
Oh boy.
Oh, shit.
What'd you ask? I don't want to talk to you. But what'd you ask?
What's the entailment relation between moral anti-realism and moral relativism?
I'm not even gonna get into that discussion with you. Because what's gonna happen is I'm gonna answer it and I'm gonna explain to
What's
you
going to
why
happen
moral
is
relativism
you
is so
don't have an
bad.
answer to the question,
And then you're just gonna
you don't
ignore
wanna back up.
everything that is said
You
about
want to
why
still
moral
make the
relativism is
claim,
bad.
but you don't want
And you're just gonna fucking start talking about objective criterias. You're just like Pogan. You're like a Pogan 2.0. It's just garbage.
Yeah, you don't look. You're doing it all wrong. You don't even have to start there. Like, watch. Like, John, what's 9 times 7?
That's all there is to it.
You don't start
Like,
there.
just
You
like,
start with the easy stuff. Then you move to the harder stuff.
Yeah, you guys are just a bunch of fucking losers. Let's be real.
What?
You guys can make fun of me all you want, but I'm better looking than you guys. I'm in better shape than you
John,
guys. I make more money than you guys.
You make you
Let's
can
put
play
this
fucking
Moonlight
below me.
Sonata, right?
I'm completely
We've
fucking
heard this
alpha
before.
compared to you little
John.
autistic
Ooh,
faggots.
daddy.
John, what year did Christopher Columbus?
Fuck you, faggot. You're annoying
sail-
as fuck.
What year did Christopher
You
Columbus
spend too
sail
much
the
time annoying people online. Now you're fucking addicted to it. You're just annoying.
And you know
Don't
how
throw
the you
This
know
is
how the
why you're
limerick
not gonna get fucked
goes?
anytime
It's-
soon, man. You're not gonna get any girls to fuck
you
you, bro.
know. Well, I'm gay, so I don't want to have sex with girls. But
Oh god.
in what year?
So you just want to wear diapers by the time you're 30. I get it.
In what year did Christopher Columbus sail the
That's
ocean
not how it
blue?
works.
I'll give you a hint. It rhymes with blue.
Did you guys get him in here because of Danny?
John, that's not how it works, you know. You think what happens if you exercise muscle? Does it get weaker or stronger? John.
I did curls and then my arm fell off.
You guys are fucking. I don't really want to just sit here and talk shit to you guys because I can do it too easily, right? Let's just go back to the fact that moral relativism is cancer as fuck, and you guys are probably going to subscribe to that, given what you said so far.
Hold on. So what's the
You're gonna say, well,
entailment between
like
what's the
cultural
entailment
relativism,
between
right?
anti-realism
These fucking
and moral
idiots probably
relativism?
subscribe to cultural relativism, and it goes. I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole. You guys
He
already
can go
know
on
the
like
deal.
this for hours, guys. I
We've
mean, he
talked
literally
about
can
this shit so
filibuster
many
like
times.
this for
Alex,
hours.
he's done this before for 3 days straight, like 3 days.
Yeah, I have ADHD. I have way more energy than you guys. My dick's bigger too.
Is that you think that's a good thing? Well, the big dick
Fuck
part,
yeah.
But
I know, bitch. I'm like an alpha compared to you guys. I'm way more interesting.
I love the
Did you
fact
listen to
that
Jesse
I love
Peterson
the
by
fact
chance?
that a construction worker that makes $13 on the hour and smokes weed all day is telling us that he's more financially successful.
I didn't
you
say
listen-
financially
John.
successful. I just
John.
said
You literally did.
I'm way
John,
better than
John.
you. Way
You
more.
Yes,
said-
John, you are a superhero, darling.
I'm a really
Twirl
good
on that
skateboarder.
bitch.
I
Twirl.
make good music. I'm way more creative. I'm just an
What kind of
all-out,
music do
way
you
better
make?
person than you.
Tom, I think you should tell the new people about the "Ain't No Bitch" Prime Directive, so that
Do you have a
you can
SoundCloud
describe what's
mixtape?
going on here.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Isn't
go.
that what
but
con-
you guys
isn't that
can-
what
you
concrete
guys can,
does, right?
You guys can sit around and pretend that you're tough shit and like you're big dogs and shit.
Isn't the
hilarious.
isn't the "Ain't No Bitch" Prime Directive a thing that was coined in reference to?
No.
In reference
Oh,
to
okay.
what?
No, it was-
Concrete Plus.
said. No.
No, John was the original. John
Oh.
OG.
is where we discovered this phenomena of the "Ain't No Bitch" Prime Directive.
More like gone, because he's left the room, right?
Hey, Alex, can I introduce you to somebody?
Yeah, sure, please.
I'd like to introduce you to one of our members. His name is Danny.
Hi, Danny.
He's very intelligent,
Aw.
thin, attractive.
Oh wow.
He
This is a lot of description.
He has your affliction.
He has, excuse me?
He has he's like you.
Are you trying to say like a fag? I don't get
Yeah,
it.
yes.
Okay.
Thank you
Okay.
so much. Okay, thank you.
Jesus.
He's like you in that way.
I'm not
and-
usually the one for blind dates, but Discord is as blind as it gets, so let's go.
What state do you live in?
Oh Jesus Christ, bro, let's not do this right now.
Give me no. Give me like a region.
A region?
Okay, let me just say this. Close.
I live in Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Workable.
Yeah.
Do you like philosophy?
Yes.
Oh my
Quite.
goodness.
I like discussing it. I'm not big on believing a lot of it.
Oh
You know.
wow. Okay. Danny, are you there? Danny?
Yeah, what do you want?
I just wanted to introduce you to Alex. Alex has a YouTube channel, I guess, and he's very cute. He likes talking about philosophy, and he's like, has your
A twink.
Nah.
So sorry, Alex.
Yeah,
Tom
this isn't.
has his own affliction, and that's just his obsession with gays.
Yeah, I didn't know Tinder had voice chat channels.
Well, is Tom obsessed with gays though? Because he's never done anything to.
I think he might have an ongoing bet with someone that he can't hook two gay dudes up. I'm not sure what it feels like at the moment.
The
Maybe he's just
silence
being
is
nice.
deafening, Alex.
Yes, it is deafening. This is what my dating life sounds like.
The person
wow.
that I would describe as obsessed with gays is Manny. He's constantly trying to get a picture.
That's interesting.
You know, I heard you're going to the gym. Danny goes to the gym too.
That's great.
It's
Hey, where'd
another-
John go?
Another similarity. He probably bounced out. He's. Do you like? But do you like talking to idiots?
Not so much. I mean,
Medium
I don't
difficulty.
really know. I'm trying to describe the people I like to. I like to actually get something out of the conversations I have. So I
Oh,
don't.
wow, Danny, did you hear that?
So
Danny likes
like-
to do that too.
that's good. But yeah, no, I don't particularly. I'm not interested in discussing things that John had brought up previously.
Have you talked to Dart Dawkins yet?
No, I wanted to hop in I wanted to hear him talk to somebody else. And I've listened to like the very brief shit on YouTube, but it almost seems a little too stupid, so I just had to hear it for myself. That's all.
All right, can you just promise me don't go in there without telling us first? Because we would, if you go in there, we all want to listen. We don't want to miss it.
Oh, like you want? Okay, sure. Yeah, I don't know if I'd entertain
Someone
anything
must
you'd say, but
Someone must preserve the conversation.
okay, interesting. Well, I'm glad that you're encouraging that. I'll think about it.
Okay. All right.
He goes under a different name in the server as well. It's like Is it Duncan?
Duncan
Dawkins
Atheism.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alex,
Duncan
do you play
Atheism.
League of Legends?
Oh fuck yeah, man! I haven't played in a while,
Oh my
but
fucking
I've been
god.
meaning to get back into it.
It's like you've got a list and you're just checking them off.
What's your rank?
Oh dude, I'm not good. Come on, please. I'm not. I don't play ranked.
Oh, you don't play ranked? Oh,
No.
okay.
Sorry about that, buddy. I mean,
what
actually,
character do you play? What champs?
Well, Jesus. At the time, I was just playing. I'll usually just go whatever the meta is. So, like top lane, I'd go like Mundo Darius. Mid lane, I kind of liked Ziggs, but he wasn't too good when I played him last. I like
Okay.
support too. Jungle's fun.
Okay.
Pretty versatile.
Wow. Wow. Danny's getting hard. Okay, how about Overwatch? Do you play Overwatch?
I used to. I haven't played in a while.
Used to. Okay. Gotcha.
Right now, the only thing I really have time to play is like 15-minute like Apex matches.
What do you do? What's your occupation?
So right now I have a part-time job at Apple, and I also am in school at the same time. So
Okay. All right. Cool.
I work for customer service for Apple. It's pretty.
That's great, man.
interesting.
Yeah, man. I would like totally listen to what you said about fixing my computer and stuff. You know, I'd be like, yeah, I can trust this Alex guy. He sounds like he won't fuck
Fixing
me.
your computer?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Just because I work at Apple doesn't mean I know how to fix your computer.
No.
You also can't like fix Apple computer.
Yeah, that too. I mean, I could give it a shot, but the likelihood of it being worse at the end is much more likely.
Have they like made accessible screws yet? I think as far as I know, all the shells are.
No,
Look,
the mandate is that the screwdrivers are very accessible. That's the mandate.
Alex,
Nice.
Danny is being a little shy right now. I don't know why. It just seems like you
That's
could
okay.
at the very least be like friends and stuff, you know.
I'm an alpha dom. You're all betas.
Wait, are you a top?
This is nor the time or place, my friend.
Okay. Gotcha. Can I just tell you as an icebreaker, Danny, with your blessing, with your blessing, like a funny story about gay stuff, like with the jalapenos, Danny.
And whatever, Tom, just do your thing, whatever.
Yes. Okay, Alex, you're gonna love this. Okay, so Danny was with this guy, and this guy,
Oh my god, a guy.
yes. So, no, but that's not it. Listen.
Oh, okay.
They meet up. The guy was like eating pizza, so he brought a pizza to like the hotel or whatever.
Oh
And
my
the
god, a pizza.
pizza had jalapenos on it. Okay?
Uh-oh.
Right. Now, he ate the pizza and he didn't wash his hands. And then eventually
Oh, no.
they did like some butt stuff. They did butt stuff. And Danny like
feel
took
like
off
the,
like a 4th of July firework
I bet.
because the residual jalapenos burnt his butthole.
Amazing.
Isn't that awesome?
Amazing.
Like you
Yeah,
can't
that's one of
even
the better
fucking
stories
you
I've
can't
heard.
even
You
make
can't
shit.
make that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Alex. Now you go. Now you.
What is? It's my turn to what? Me what?
Yeah, like a story like that, like a cool one. Like
Unfortunately, fortunately, I've never had the jalapeno residual.
no, but like something like it doesn't have to be that. You know, it could be anything. But go.
Regale Tom with your sex life.
I mean, one time a guy like hit his head on like the there's like a marble windowsill. Yeah, he like got knocked out. It was kind of weird. That's about the weirdest thing that's happened to me.
Did you stop doing stuff?
Did you fuck him while you was on
Yes, at that point in time, my situational morality kicked in, and I said it's probably bad to keep fucking him if he's unconscious. So I stopped and tried to wake him up.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
I wish John was here to hear that.
Are you a theist?
There's like nothing more alpha than like fucking a guy unconscious.
Alex, that story was horrible, man. That was absolutely like a total letdown.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I like to think that I'm pretty consistent when it comes to my sex life. I don't like to have instances of jalapeno.
Are you
burning.
not? Would you describe your? I mean, you're not like really crude about that sort of thing.
Crude. I don't like discussing them publicly. If that's what you're asking.
Oh wow, that's something that Danny can appreciate.
So Danny was being inconsistent when he got his butthole burned with jalapeno.
Yeah. Yikes.
Oof. I have news, guys. Shamos told me that he got in an accident on Saturday. A bad accident. He's in the hospital. He has 2 breaks in his right leg, fractured shoulder, and a concussion.
Shit.
Some pictures of him in the hospital.
I hope he's okay. Or he's going to be. Thanks.
Okay, says, yeah, bro, I'm not asking for a GoFundMe, but maybe take sympathy and let N-word chat sometimes while I'm mending. Okay. He said 8 weeks or so.
All right, boys.
You taking off?
I guess so.
All right. Well, hit it hard, man. Go hard or don't go at all, man. Get ripped.
Yeah, I might be back.
All right. Come back
Yeah,
soon,
okay.
Alex. We need you.
But
So this is gonna be definitely a prayer squad thing. So we still have that? Oh wait, Alex, are you a theist by any chance? Are you religious? Shit, that's an important one. We need to know about that. Prayer squad. Okay, I need to say. Okay, I put it in prayer squad, guys. Hopes and prayers sent Shamos' way, please. Hopes and prayers. Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers.
What denomination is Shamos?
Nazi.
Nice. So, Catholic?
I don't know if he even identifies as a Christian anymore.
He doesn't. Pretty sure about that.
Is Shamos back?
He apparently has been in Discord a few times recently, but not in my presence. Probably because I'm intimidating.
You know, the conversation with Vade the other night.
Yeah,
was
I'm
really
sure
funny.
that's what it was.
What, Luke?
You had a conversation with Vade the other night that was really fun.
How? Vade isn't here anymore.
Yeah, it was like a couple weeks ago, I think.
Okay.
That's what I mean by the other night. It was like Shamos like shitting on him about intentionality. It was really fun.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing a recording of that. Vade got fucking annihilated. But that's not really surprising.
The monad.
Yeah, I'm trying to get some more information out of Shamos because I said, doesn't your girl have you covered for expenses and shit? And he says, yeah, about that. And he's typing something. So it looks like there may be trouble in paradise.
Oh, fuck.
He may have failed to coerce.
Oh shit, he just dropped a promise me you'll never share with no one. So I guess I can't tell you guys about it, unfortunately. Yeah.
What the fuck?
I can coerce anyone to have sex, but I cannot coerce anyone to cover my medical expense.
Feel free to start betting now with regards to what the story could be, and then maybe in future the story will come out.
I have some positive news of my own to share. Due to a conversation with a wealthy benefactor, my financial woes for college have been resolved. I'd like to thank the community for their thoughts and prayers in my time of need.
Oh, your school has been paid for?
Yeah, that's correct.
Your full scholarship?
No.
Why did Danny leave? Why did... So messed up, man.
Is Alex still here?
He's tired and hungry. He wants
No,
to go
Alex
to
is gone too.
No, I'm here. I'm just listening.
Oh, so Toast is a fucking liar. I
thought you were at the gym.
Alex, I'm
here.
very...
I'd rather listen to you guys than listen to music, though.
Yeah, hell yes. Yeah, man. That's what it's all
said he was
about,
leaving.
baby. Yeah, baby.
Fucking liar.
So, Alex, while you do your bench press, could you please explain to me what your epistemological views are, really quickly?
Here we go.
Believe in the... Believe Cook. I don't remember the name. Oh my god, hold on.
Take your time.
Thanks, brother.
Make sure you get a spot,
really
bro,
have,
man.
I mean, I'd say I have way more questions than I have answers. But
Okay. What sorts of questions?
I take usually on most subjects that require some kind of philosophy-based conversation. I'm pretty skeptical when it comes to what I define myself as. So,
do you put weights on the bars when you lift it, or do you just lift the bar?
Well, that's what the weights are for, sweetie.
I know, darling, but I'm just checking for asking for a
Yeah.
friend.
Hey,
She's
by the
making
way,
asking,
did you hear that
a-
guy? There's a guy who chimed in. His name is Toast. This is all. I'm gonna play you something real quick. This is all you need to know about Toast.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Here we go.
Oh fuck.
What's happening?
Fuck.
Tom, the robot is broken.
Oh, I know how to fix this. I know how to fix this.
I'm gonna play you something, so just hold on.
Who's in authority here? You still don't get it. He'll find her. That's what he does. That's all he does. You can't stop him. He'll wade through you, reach down her throat, and pull out her fucking heart. Get your hands off me.
Yeah, that was on a live hangout. He acted that way. So
It's not true. That's not true at all.
Just be.
That's not.
You need
lies.
you need to know what you're dealing with when you're talking to Toast. Don't make him
listen to
angry.
Tom's lies.
He can fly
Listen
off
to
the
me.
handle.
Tom is a puppeteer. Don't listen to him.
Well,
So
was
back to
someone
the
actually
conversation,
assaulting you?
Alex.
Jesus.
Could you please just lay out some of the positions you find to be coherent for me? Thank you.
Jesus Christ. Well, not that one. That's for sure.
Haha, get it? Because it's okay.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Give me something to. I mean,
Are
ask
you a
me more
theist?
specific
Are you a
question.
theist? Are you a theist?
No, absolutely not.
Oh, yeah,
What do you
dude. Hey,
think of,
fist bump, bro. You
I
hear
used
that?
to be. I used to
Fist
be.
bump.
I used to be pretty
Well,
big into
well,
the
Mr.
church.
Passarello, what do you think of error theory?
Excuse me.
What do you think of error theory?
I'm ignorant. I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you know what? I'm assuming you know what moral nihilism is, at least.
Unfortunately, no, I'm not too versed in the. I mean, I might know the context of it, but when it comes to the term you're using, no.
Sure. So let's put it this way, right? Moral nihilism denies categorical moral norms. And then error theory gives the follow-up to that, which is that all moral propositions are false in virtue of something called presuppositionary failure, which basically means like what a moral proposition refers to is incoherent. So here's a good analogy, right? If I make the proposition, the present king of France is bald, right? That's going to be false, but it's not false because the king of France has hair, right? It's because the referent, the present king of France, doesn't exist. There is no present king of France. That's why it's false. That's what we call presupposition failure, right? The presupposition is false.
It's not false, it's vacuously true.
Oh shit.
Oh fuck. Point being, right, in a moral proposition, similarly, saying like murder is wrong, or I guess that's redundant. Saying killing is wrong, for instance, right? The referent there doesn't exist.
Okay.
Because they deny the existence of such concepts. They being
Yeah, no,
theorists.
I've heard of presupposition before. Don't necessarily agree with it if that's what you're asking me. But
wait, you don't? I'm confused. So you disagree with moral nihilism? Like, do you think?
No. I disagree with what you're. I mean, no, I agree with what you're saying. I don't think that presupposition morality is like it's. What did you say? It's wrong before.
Well, I mean, Josh corrected me, but the point is just to say that the referent doesn't exist.
Yeah, no.
Right. Okay. So then, that would commit you, at the very least, to moral nihilism if you agree with that, right?
Sure. I don't know what I'm agreeing to at the moment, but sure.
What are you putting up right now? How much you putting up, Alex?
I'm doing body weight core workouts at the moment. I was just doing legs a second ago.
Nice, man. Nice.
But I'm a bitch. I need to.
Do you have a flat stomach? Danny likes a nice flat stomach, like just totally flat. Washboard.
I mean, sure.
Ooh. Wow. Okay. Nice.
Washboards aren't flat though; they're bumpy.
Yeah, I know, but
I
I
need to
meant
work better on my terminology with what the fuck you guys are saying. because I think I
flat
have-
means to like rolls of fat. I think muscles.
No. I'm talking about like all this presupposition and what is it? Moral nihilism.
Well, I mean, yes, but specifically error theory.
Error theory. Yeah, I'll do some research.
Do you think
When
abstract
it comes to morality, I don't necessarily believe it exists outside the human species. I just think there is what is, and we have fucking right or wrong to slap on it in regards to the situation it's in. That's what I think about morality. I don't really put much entertainment in any other kind of discussion based on that.
What do you want, BB?
Do you think abstract objects exist, Alex?
Abstract objects, like the abstract paintings I made in 3rd grade.
That's funny. I'm referring to objects that are non-spatio-temporal but necessarily exist, and
You
they're
broke up there
acausal.
for a sec.
They're non-spatio-temporal and they're acausal, but they necessarily exist.
Yeah, man, my vocabulary is not as extensive as yours, unfortunately.
Let's sure. No, that's. What do you think the number 3 is?
A number.
Right. Do you think it's an extension of a mental state, or do you think it exists external to minds?
Exists internally. Well, I think I'd be pretty criticized if I said that mathematics depended on the human species.
Right. Yes, you would. So you agree that, like, for instance, the number 3 is external to the mind.
Number 3. But I guess mathematics itself is not local to my consciousness, if that's what you're asking.
And because you agree it's external to the mind, but we can't point to a when and where with respect to when and where it exists, right? The conclusion must be that it's necessarily non-spatio-temporal, or in layman's terms, right, it doesn't exist in space-time. Did my connection die?
You can't see it. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, it's not about seeing it, right? The point is that it's non-spatio-temporal because you can't give a reference to where or when it would exist in space. So that leads us to the conclusion that abstracta are going to be non-spatio-temporal and acausal, but they necessarily exist.
Yeah, man, there's those words again. Sorry, like I said, my vocabulary isn't as extensive as yours. You lost me at the temporal.
Where should I put this?
Use small words for me, boss.
So the number 3 doesn't exist in virtue of minds, but you can't point to a place or a time it would exist, right? We can't say the number 3 exists in the Andromeda galaxy, for instance. That would be ridiculous. So it seems like what we're going to have to say is that it doesn't exist in space-time at all. Space-time just referring to where concrete objects would exist.
I feel like I haven't put much thought into what you're saying, only because hearing it now, I don't think why is that important? Like, why?
Well, it's important because it establishes that there would be something immaterial to the mind, and it establishes that things like logic and mathematics are not going to be contingent on.
Yeah, no. Mathematics is just the way of understanding that we try to conceptualize. I mean, it's there whether or not we exist.
Correct.
So,
I mean,
if that's what you meant by all those big words you used, then sure, I agree with you.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
Sorry, bro.
Yo, what up?
There are certain topics.
Guys,
My
really
actual
quick.
topics I like to
I'm
talk
gonna say
about
as a
are.
precursor that I'm not going to dox anybody and while I'm in the room. I'll
You
repeat,
dox people?
I will
No.
not dox anybody.
Look,
Yeah, so many
I think
people
someone
by
who makes
Twitter.
a statement like that should be.
look, we know that. Look, there's pre-context to what he was talking about, and just saying that, and I haven't talked to Seth, but as long as Shamos makes that statement, or doesn't allude to like other people's personal information, stuff like that, I think he's okay here. At least temporarily. I mean, like, as long as I don't think Seth will object, but I'm okay with Shamos being here for the time being. Does anybody
Yeah,
else object?
Tom, the biggest issue I get on my Twitter, everyone's like, "Don't use Discord." There's Antifa on there or something, and they.
Well, there are. Yeah, there's definitely Antifa on here.
Well, whatever. But I'm saying, like, what could you get doxxed with a fucking avatar? I mean, I'm personal. I mean, my shit's all out there.
Yeah,
But
some people are more crafty than your dumb redneck ass. So just shut the fuck up.
Oh my God.
All right, look,
I'll tell you
Shamos,
what.
man.
What's crafty is, the way I got doxxed was I was so stupid. I put my house.
Nobody cares.
No one cares.
Look,
cares.
guys, stop. You guys got to stop being so mean to people,
I
right?
don't care. It doesn't matter if they're mean. It doesn't. It's irrelevant.
No, it matters to me. It matters to me. You just can't just like tell every single new person that comes in to shut the fuck up and like, you're a redneck piece of shit. It's not how we grow, okay?
Yeah, but I'm not a wreck. That's what they're saying.
It's
totally
irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
I'm here for Shamos, not this guy.
It's ad hominem. It's not really supposed to apply. It's just supposed to be kind of a dick move kind of thing. But is there a pre-context I'm missing here?
It's not.
Can we just change the subject, please?
Look, why don't you just give us the update on your accident and your relationship?
Hi,
My
Shamos.
relationship's over. She's seeing other people. I gave her the go ahead. I mean, you really can't pout about it, You just got to kind of play it cool, like you don't fucking care. And so yeah, that's that, And I was listening in the live chat for a little while. I heard someone say, like, oh, he could coerce anyone to have sex with him, just not to like pay his medical bills. I mean, I coerced her to have sex with me multiple times, but I just haven't got to part 2 yet. But other than that, I'm up on so much pain medication that, I mean, I'm not really in much pain. My shoulder isn't even that bad of a fracture. The leg's pretty bad. The concussion is what's really, really, really battered me. I've been fucking waking up and throwing up and shit, and fucking I haven't been able to eat. My stomach just feels turned, And so they gave me like 4 bags of IV fluid and shit. It's pretty rough. I mean, I feel like the worst day of it was like, I mean, the worst bit of it was like last night. And I was really, really, really fucking in bad shape. Just
You're gonna make it though.
You gave her the go ahead to see other people. That's what you said.
Well, I mean, what are you gonna do? She's talking about she just went on a date and she had fun. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, what am I supposed to say? Like, bitch, no, you're my fucking woman. Get back in fucking position. What the fuck am I?
Why is she going on dates though if she's your woman?
Yeah, I thought she was all about you. That's what I'm not.
No, we do this thing. I'm not moved all the way in, bro. I tried. The last bastion of holdout is I got to keep my boat. And the thing is, I just said, like, look, what if me and you don't work out? I need a little something to like on a fallback. And so she let me keep the boat. And we're doing this thing where like I go up there for like a couple weeks and I come back for a week or so and like that. So I left up there last Saturday. So
It's the most Jeff Foxworthy thing I've heard in a while. I got divorced. I got in a car accident, but at least I got the boat.
Well, that just means that you can get some tang on the side, right? That's awesome.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, maybe sometime once I'm healed up or something.
Yeah, but Shamos was trying to get that real estate money, man.
Uh-oh.
Like, man, the relationship's already going so kind of bad, and that, I mean, predictably, it probably isn't gonna work, And like, I'm not gonna sit there and just kiss ass, and be her little bitch to like simulate that it's working, because I'm not no bitch. I'm not gonna do that. I don't care how much money she has. Like, I was willing to put in some effort for the money, but I ain't putting in that much effort. That's fucking crazy, dude. So I'm not even really tripping.
All those fucking banana smoothies fried your brain.
Accident.
I know,
Were you a
man.
theist or an
No,
atheist?
so listen to this. You want to know one of the best things for you when you have a concussion is colloidal silver. I couldn't believe that shit. And the doctor even told me that. It mildly reduces swelling. And I'm like, oh my God, bitch probably saved my fucking life.
He's like, Mr. Shamos, we took an X-ray. Normally, there's a very substantial amount of brain swelling, but your brain, sir, has almost no swelling at all. Do you by any chance take colloidal silver?
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes. As a matter of fact, I do.
Hello. How are you?
Hello.
Look, there's my Indian doctor right there. What's up,
What
doc?
are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah, what's up, man?
Tell him what's wrong with me, dude.
What are you doing?
Chilling. What's up, man?
Hello. I
All right, you've got through the very first page of the English textbook. Now just flip the other page and let's have a conversation.
But I have a cat. It's my cat.
Is this real? Is this going on?
It's my cat. Meow.
No, this is fake. This is fake. You can tell by how he's breaking the words perfectly. Nah, this motherfucker's full of shit.
Just go ahead and ban, I guess, or
ban.
Where are you from?
Mira, albañil, si no tienes nada que decir, por favor, vete para afuera, ¿ok?
This guy is fluent in English, by the way.
It's gone. It's gone.
Wait, what was that?
Oh yeah, BB, I need your help for something. Can you make it so that, or figure out how to make it so that, like, you can't just join and start talking? Because, like, people from YouTube are now, like, I think there's a lot of them coming and stuff, so probably need some kind
Want
of
everybody muted?
anti-spam measures.
Like, the one thing I want to tell you about is, like, last night I had like these gnarly dreams, and like some of you guys were in them, but it wasn't like you guys. It was like weird. It was so fucking crazy. But like,
Yeah.
at one point there was like, I was in like kind of like hell or something. You know, there's like fire, and I was like out on this walkway, and like Tom, which was like weird because Tom looked exactly like Michael Jackson. And but I knew it was Tom, you know, and he was like sitting there on like a game show podium, and like
I offered you 3 doors, right?
No, he basically, like, what was going on is there were like demons and angels like fighting over me, and then the last thing that happened is there was no winner. Like the angels couldn't beat the demons and the other way around, and so what they did is they brought in like a jury of my peers, but what it was all you faggots. and they fucking like, it was like an open room like this. Like I could just hear voices and shit. And fucking they were
Crazy,
like
man.
the fucking you guys were like gonna like what they said decided was the only fair way is that, like, I'm pretty sure this was like for my soul. You guys were gonna decide by the Bible if I deserve to go to heaven. And I was like fucking scared, dude.
Yeah,
I was fucking scared, dude.
Interesting. Just think, if this dream would have happened 2,000 years ago and you were a warlord, it probably would have ended up in the Bible.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah, so yeah, you would have been fucked.
Looks like I lost some Christians yesterday on my Twitter. Oh well. Oh well.
I was gonna say something, but that dream story like took too long, and now I forgot.
Did you end up
Tom,
going to
I'm
hell
trying-
or no?
I'm trying to get people in here, but I don't think they're interested. I spammed every fucking response I got, and I got a lot of responses.
And the dream like changed after that into like weird, like I was like playing poker, and like these like repetitive things would keep happening. Like I was like stuck in like a thought loop, and like I just kept like thinking these like thoughts, and it was fucking really weird. There's a lot of stuff going on.
I had this reoccurring dream when I was little that I was doing like continuous backflips on a 4-wheeler over and over again for like hours, and they were like the worst nightmares I ever had.
Helena's here. Helena Shamos was involved in an accident. Pretty serious car accident. Broke his leg.
But he's okay now.
You in the hospital right now, Shamos?
Yeah, I'm in the hospital. They're gonna release me tomorrow, I think. They might release me later today, but my stomach and shit's still pretty bad.
Shit.
So,
Sorry about that.
yeah, the concussion really got me. I was hoping I could come in here with a concussion and win some arguments for some of you faggots.
You can.
You know, because that would really be my ultimate testimony, you know?
As to whether or
Where's
not when you're
fucking
incapacitated.
Get Pogan in here.
Well, I mean, that's what I was gonna ask you about, because I know you probably watched some of the live streams. And did you see Brando last night? You were probably very much so wanting to be in here.
No, I never saw the Brenda stuff last night, although in like in the previous week, or I've seen like leading up little shots of Brenda and she looked very irritable, but I didn't see the last night stuff.
Oh, I did record that, so I can upload that. But Jack went off on Brenda big time.
Oh man, I'd pay big money to hear that.
Done.
Is that recorded?
Yeah, that's what you should do, Tom. You should like take YouTube videos of conversations and then take the video down and then like have a teaser and then make people pay like 25 cents or something. So like you don't get to hear those conversations for free, you know? If you missed it, you missed it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was pretty vicious stuff, man. I haven't seen Jack like that in a while.
No, like Jack, like I mean, I think he kind of like doesn't really want to fuck with Brenda. He's got some disdain and scorn.
Yeah, Alex, got a lot of wind noise, buddy. Alex.
I mean, most of the time, you know, Brenda never really gets in a situation where Jack would be so pissed off that like a lot of that stuff would come to the. So it's like it's kind of interesting. I wonder if it was. Let me guess the situation that brought Jack forward. It would have had to have been an argument where Danny was just destroying Brenda, and then Brenda was saying dumb shit, and then Jack came in to defend Danny, and it got crazy.
Well, I mean, kinda. Like, she was talking to Michael and then Josh, and then he came in. But, like, I think it was about, like, the labor theory of value.
Oh, God.
And she was accusing like the Pal Talkers of, they had this term they were using. What was it called? Lip starts with an L. What was that term? It means that basically you're like sort of shopping around for views that already cohere to what you believe. What was that term they used yesterday? Ace knows. Ace, speak up, goddammit. Why isn't Ace talking? Like lesbicism? What was it called? I don't know. I never heard that word before.
Yeah, I don't know a word for that.
Yeah, so I mean, I know you do like to talk to Brenda.
So yeah, she's just become insufferable. Like the last, I mean, since she came back, she's just, you can't even have a conversation with her.
So what state are you in now? I mean, are you in still in North Carolina?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you've left her place. You're like boat based right now. Yeah, Lysenkoism. Yeah, that's what it is. Thank you, Daniel. Wow. Thank you.
I've been back since last Saturday, so I left her house like 8 days ago.
Isn't Lysenkoism like a fake biology like hypothesis that was popularized by a guy named Lysenko? It's not like shopping around for beliefs, I don't think.
Well, maybe it was just used in a way to describe, having a belief that's fake, but
Yeah, it
you
doesn't have
hold to
refer
it
to a historical
because
context.
you want it to be true, basically.
I mean, it doesn't. You can use words like that, and they don't have to. The meaning can broaden, and it doesn't have to refer to some historical context or blah blah blah. Like, for example, they were accusing Ted Kaczynski of being a Luddite. I mean, obviously, considering the historical movement of the Luddites, you couldn't sensibly call him that unless you broadened the meaning, and they just meant some guy that was like hell bent against technology. And obviously, they're using that like very broadly. So I mean, it's the same thing is going to be taking place with probably how they're using that L word there.
According to Malta in chat, what you're thinking of is Lamarckianism, not Lysenkoism.
Maybe. I thought Lysenko was what they were. That's what I remember hearing, but I could be wrong.
That's what I heard also.
Some guy in chat says Luke is right, but now it has the meaning of pseudoscience from academics. Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm the one thinking of Lamarckianism. Okay, I get it.
Get wrecked, man.
I've been fucked.
Some words have multiple meanings. Oh my gosh.
No, you're right about.
Well, it was a little weird though because Lysenkoism like refers to the guy. It's something incomprehensible in Russian, and then Lysenkos.
Mm-hmm.
You
Interesting.
could just broaden the meaning, and it could apply to some like action that he did or some type of general intent that he had, etc., etc. Now just drop it.
Have you been watching like the YouTube channels and kind of like keeping up with what's been going on here?
I mean,
Soccer
in the last
counts.
week, I have.
Pretty much, okay.
Yeah, I watched a lot of the Darth Dawkins blow-ups you put up. I watched some of the conversations. I can't watch them all, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff I watched that was before the wreck. But yeah, man, I'm loving it.
So you're pretty much caught up with what's going on in general. It's good.
Well, as much as I want with it, as much as I want to be.
Did you catch the Dionysus videos?
Yeah, that was terrible, dude. I really hope he's not out there killing himself to try to run a 7 minute mile, because that's so hard to do, dude. Like seriously, that would fucking kill me, and I'm not a punk. I'm not gonna, it doesn't impugn me to admit that. The best mile I ever did in my entire life, and I probably could have pushed it. I probably could have pushed it a little bit harder, but I didn't want to. I did like 8 minutes and like 22 seconds or something. That was like me like fucking for real, giving it every fucking thing I had.
Yeah, I know. I remember my fastest. It was 8 minutes, 30 seconds in like third or fourth grade or something like that. No, fifth grade maybe, something like that. Yeah.
If you run regularly, it's not that hard to run like a 6.5
It's kind of funny. That's when mine was too. It was like fifth grade. Fucking 8 minutes 22 seconds, and I was fucking. Kids have a lot of energy, but I remember how I felt after that, dude. I was fucking hurting, dude.
Yeah, my buddy was like keeping pace with me, and like he was way faster than me, but yeah, that's as fast as I could go.
My fastest mile, I don't know what the time of that 1 mile was, but my very first Marine Corps PFT physical fitness test, which is a 3 mile and 18 minutes is a perfect score. I got 18 minutes and 20 seconds flat. And so I know that my fastest mile was that first of the 3 miles that I ran. I'd love to know what that mile was done.
Jesus, that's like 6 minutes something, right? That's so badass.
Yeah, 6-minute miles. Yeah.
Fucking
That's insane.
3 of them. That's fucking insane.
Yeah, and then so
mile before.
But it's
yeah,
like a
see what
mile
happens is
without
when people get what usually happens though is 3 miles without stopping. But what usually happens is when guys get non-commissioned officer like corporal or above, they have what's called a fitness report because you can't really compete with these young guys, and so they start because all these 17, 18-year-old kids are running 18-minute 3 miles. And as the older you get, you just get smoked. So they start judging you on different things, including your 3 mile. But yeah, it's pretty common for a Marine to run it in 18 minutes.
Seamus, I wasn't really referring to that though, because there was a series of Dionysus videos that were released over the course of like a couple of weeks, almost cryptic in nature, of him walking around the streets of Louisiana and musing about life and his situation and the future, and sometimes jacking strike and wandering into vacant high school buildings and then being escorted out. Short clips of him panning to a ceiling fan and back down to his feet, which only lasted 20 seconds. Just very, very odd stuff that came out of the Dionysus YouTube channel.
What? I never saw any of that. How come nobody ever fucking told me about that?
You were told. There's no way you weren't told.
Oh, somebody must have told you I wasn't listening. Does somebody have the link?
I have all of them downloaded.
I mean, it sounds like Dio's been thrust into some sort of existential crisis, which for Dio doesn't take a lot. I mean, it could be you guys battered him one too many times on Discord, or Simone fucking locked the fridge again. It could be any number of things that drove him to like speculating on how fucked his life is.
One of the first.
One
of the first videos was titled "Where My Dreams Fell Apart," and he goes to like where his old high school and talks about what happened. Kind of.
Yeah, if he uploaded that and that video was like on YouTube, I'm really worried about Dio at this point, because like he's got a lot of pride, and he wouldn't like to put stuff up there like that with that type of like meaning behind, like, oh this is where I fucked my life
Yeah,
up.
but I think
so.
I see. We were looking at it from a different view. We're thinking like this is like sort of cathartic for him, and this is like a transformation process, and like once he sort of like puts this behind him, then he kind of clears the way forward.
No, you need to think about this a little more differently. Think about this angle. They have certain people who are kind of like narcissists and kind of like very prideful, and they don't like to reveal embarrassing things about their life. And they don't obviously they wouldn't like to put it like on a YouTube video, which is like, seems to me quite a bit more severe. But when those type of people lose those type of boundaries and those walls start to dissolve, usually what I'm thinking is that he's kind of lost that piece of himself, and he could go any different way with it. Like if you could look at like people who are like serial killers, like they had pride and they would like hide things, but then like think about Elliot Rodgers. He started uploading these videos about how he couldn't get a girlfriend, and it was fairly a couple years between the end, and the kid had a lot of pride. He was rich and stuff like that. And so like think about it in that type of sense. I'd be kind of worried, because I think I know Dio enough that it'd probably pull the other way.
Shamos, when I get home, I'll upload them to my YouTube and send them to you privately on this account so you can watch them, because some of them are pretty severe. Like I had the very same thoughts that you did. Sure thing.
Yeah, I'd be worried. Like if you guys ever catch me doing shit like that, like we're putting videos of really, really embarrassing shit, bro, I've already got a plan of who's gonna go.
I hope Dionysus wouldn't just kill himself and he like go on a rampage first.
No, I don't think he would. I think he would rampage. I think for sure.
Absolutely, he would.
I think he's the most
I
likely
mean,
person.
he's talked about it too. Do you guys remember that conversation? That's got to be recorded in a hangout somewhere.
Well, there's multiple conversations like that.
Yeah, and he said he was like naming people. One was Jack, and Shamos. What was really weird was he was like, he was like walking around in this high school talking about like white supremacy and Jack, like walking around in this old high school. It was the strangest fucking thing.
I don't know, dude. I'd be really worried. I'd just keep your eyes on the like Louisiana news, or keep Danny kind of like looking at the fucking newspaper and shit.
I think Dionysus is like one of the most likely people to kill themselves here.
That's true.
How high do you think I'm up on that list?
Pretty high.
Yeah,
Do
that's
you
probably
agree?
fair.
Am I correct?
What? Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yeah.
I'm pretty high with the potential to kill myself. I just don't feel like that. No.
Hey, Seamus.
Yo.
I'm glad you're back.
It's Floyd.
We haven't talked like I don't know how many years.
Who's this?
Josh just said
That's
Dionysus
Floyd
is too
FP.
afraid of the unknown.
Oh, really? I thought I'd be able to recognize his voice. Speak up a little bit, man.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, that's Floyd. What's up, man?
Hey,
What have you been up to lately? It has been a while.
nothing has changed much. Same old stuff. A lot of debates since the last time we've talked. They're all on my channel if you want to watch them.
Yeah.
Yeah, some came by recently, like a week or two ago. I think it was some debate that you were having. I can't remember what it was though. I
Jimmy
clicked on it
Stevens?
for a little bit. Yeah, that's what it was. I clicked on it for a little bit, man, and I saved it because I know that that's, probably one of the more decent conversations.
No, it was
I mean, I know
bad.
Jimmy's probably pooped it up a lot, but
Like Jimmy Stevens starts talking, I just tune out. But yeah, Floyd, weren't you saying that you had this like debate plan with Shamos and like it never really materialized?
yeah,
Yeah, I was on
biblical
the
inerrancy.
Lucan nativity
Fuck, man,
story.
let's do it,
the
man.
census.
Let's go.
I mean, I'm not prepared for anything like that. Like Floyd's got like slides and shit like that. It wouldn't be a good idea for me to.
Well, I mean, yeah, prepare for it if you want to do it.
I mean, my views have changed on that, but I mean, I would probably take the debate for lulz or something, even though my views don't really align with that anymore. But, I think arguments can be made. I think that ultimately, given some of the historical record and depending how much weight and credibility you would give to someone like Josephus, which a great deal of historians give him like A++ ratings. And so, I mean, it's going to come out with, Floyd's just going to win,
Yeah, well.
I think there's some moves that could be made, but I think ultimately, the average person listening probably, wouldn't like those moves. And like, I mean, like one way that you could, like, I could have like an informal discussion with you about it, about some things. That'd be cool. Like one thing, like one route that I would go maybe is because a lot of it's locked in by Josephus. So you need to cast some shade on Josephus. And so you can go back to the textual record of Josephus, and they're terrible. They're absolutely terrible. Hold on one second.
Yeah, I mean, Josephus had a lot of bullshit, like talking about Moses and stuff like that, where he's in no position to know anything about Moses beyond, the Old Testament.
Well, yeah, but you could just look at that as that, he was trying to give an account of the Jewish people, and like that's part of their history, and so like he wasn't really going to leave that out in any way, and he obviously didn't have a lot to say on the matter at all. But like, I'm speaking a little more broadly, like if you look at like stuff like the Josephus textual record, I think dates back to the earliest one dates back to like the 9th century, and it's severely incomplete. The first one that pops up, if I was on my computer, I'd have all the information. But the first one that pops up with the entire core of like the testimonium and then all those things don't even arrive to like the 13th century, or I think the 1200 something. I'm pretty sure the script is called like the Medici script. It's in like Italy or something. What's interesting is like a lot of the early variants are all just mistakes on a copy of the Medici. And so like everything else we have just comes super late, and that's pretty much the only thing that people are. There's like a few Greek scripts, I think, but I mean, if you look at that, right? I mean, we're talking 800 years from the very first one that we have. And then if you go back and you look at Luke, it's beating it by like 500 years. And then, I mean, like you could start there, and I would never say like, oh, just because it's old or just because it's early, but we could start from that thing and just say, well, people already want to cast out. And I've even heard Floyd levy these arguments where he wants to cast out, given the time period between like the Bible where we have the manuscripts in hand, like if you look, I mean, completeness, we don't really start getting them until, like 3rd and 4th century, and not really fully complete till the 4th century. And I mean, I've heard people like Floyd cast out that, hey, that should give us a large amount of skepticism on the truth of veracity of these manuscripts, just on that alone. Well, I mean, that might be an argument you could forward from the beginning, that just Joseph's manuscripts are just way, way worse in textual integrity.
Yeah, well, I think for the Luke and Nativity story, I don't think it matters. I mean, Luke could be the original Luke, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think it really matters as far as that goes.
Well, yeah, I'm saying like it doesn't follow necessarily that it's late, or if it was the first copy or the last copy. But what I'm saying is I've heard you try to induce skepticism, and so if you think those arguments where you've induced skepticism based on the line of the textual record, or just based on the amount from the resurrection to the first gospel, and I have heard you do that. I don't know if you hold those views anymore. Then if you think that those inferences are valid, you should think the inference that I'm holding is valid, and you should at least have some amount of, you should hold at least some degree of clout to that. I'm not saying how much, because that gets into epistemological questions, but and so like my first question would be, if you don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole, do you still think those arguments are valid where you cast doubt on the resurrection accounts based on the amount of years that traverse between the time? Or do you think the arguments are valid in terms of certain parts of the Gospels that don't appear till centuries later, et cetera? Do you think those arguments are valid, Floyd?
Well, as far as the resurrection, I mean, I would argue that the later accounts are just theological embellishments from the Mark Gospel. I don't think it matters the age of the manuscripts. I think we're just talking about Mark being written around 65, 70, and each gospel after that adding 10 years, to an event that supposedly took place in the 30s. But again, when we read the Gospels, it's nothing but really theological assertions, and it really wasn't meant to be any historical account of events, really.
Well, I mean, Mark doesn't really have many theological shit in it at all. Mark is kind of very bare bones, and like what's interesting is like of all the sayings of Jesus, the least are found in Mark. I mean, that's going to be obvious given the fact that Q isn't contained in Mark, and so I mean, there's less of that than any. And Mark is super bare bones, so I don't know how you could necessarily hold to that. It seems kind of weird.
Well, Mark is nothing more than a passion story with a long beginning. And it doesn't even have any real significant points about the resurrection to really draw.
Well,
everything
I
else
don't know
after
about that.
is,
It has significant points about the resurrection, insofar as like there's things that are maintained between the resurrection between Mark, Luke, and well, let's just say Mark, Matthew, and Luke to make it simple. Stay with the tradition. There's some of that. And so what do you think is not, Floyd?
Not what?
Oh, I missed the last part of that. Just continue if you want.
Well, I'm just saying there's just, very little in Mark to go by. You just have an angel saying, hey, this tomb's empty, go to Galilee and go find Jesus, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, kind of. Let me ask you a question. Are you comfortable with dating Mark to like 70? Like that doesn't mess you up any?
No, I mean it could be later, but I have no problem.
I mean, there's
thinking
good
about
arguments for it
70.
not being much later, not much later. But so if we could just settle on that for argument's sake, and then I would take something you've said and I would actually agree with it. You said that Mark is kind of just a passion story with like a long beginning, and that's really cool that you said that because a lot of scholars, well, I don't want to put those words like that. Some scholars think that you can take the very cohesive way that the passion rolls out of Mark. It seems to be the only cohesive segment. Like a lot of the I'm going to say that some of the literary analysts think that it reads as one piece. And so what they, and obviously we're not talking about these long endings, etc., but they think it reads as one piece. So the idea is, this is what's known in the New Testament community as a pre-Mark and Passion narrative. I know that you already are big time familiar with all this stuff. And so that would give us reason to push Mark even earlier to 70. And so that could give us even more reason to think that Mark might be closer to the events than previous.
Well, I think it's just drawing from the Passion story motif that was common, in the Greco-Roman area. So, was there an earlier source? Oh yeah, definitely. All the Passion plays before it, and and basically he's just drawing a bit. The authors are drawing events from the Old Testament.
No. My claim is that the piece itself reads coherently as one piece, and it's not that you don't get that necessarily because you read another Passion. What that shows is that Mark had a pre-made piece at his disposal. And so if you were to hold to that, then we have to push the date pre-70, is all I'm saying. And that might give us, given those skeptical arguments, reason to think Mark might be slightly more reliable than some bullshit manuscript scraped up in Italy 1400 years later.
Well, I mean, reliable in what way?
Well, like reliable if you hold to those skeptical arguments, as I've been appealing to.
Yeah, I mean,
this is all.
for me, the Gospels are, weren't written for any historical accuracy at all. So, to me, it's a moot point. It doesn't matter, when it was really written, because it's all fiction regardless.
Well, I mean, that wouldn't be necessarily true, and or I don't want to say necessary, that wouldn't be true in line with most mainline scholars. Like they think things that contain details about Jesus that were true. And we could even strip it down to the historical Jesus. They think he was around 30 years old. They think he was an apocalyptic prophet that was killed for blasphemy. And like all the gospels are unanimous on that, and all the historians are unanimous on that. And are not, the language is a little bit murky there, but most mainline scholars are in line with that view. And so to say something like it's all BS and it has no facts, no, it has facts. There's a 30-year-old guy running around Jerusalem talking a lot of crazy shit, and he got his fucking, he got killed for it, and then it sparked some crazy religious movement that found its way into Rome and was, mainly the main blame behind Nero putting the burning of Rome on the Christians, and, so on and so forth. And that, like, I could appeal to much more other things, but let's just start there.
I mean, not all critical scholars believe he was an apocalyptic preacher. I mean, people like Bart Ehrman certainly believe that, but I mean, there's a lot of different views of who Jesus was.
Let's just
Bart
change
Ehrman points
whatever I
out that
said
it's
to like
not even
most mainline scholars. Let's just change it to most, and I think that that would be a true statement. And so, like, deal with.
Well, Bart Ehrman points out that it's not even up for debate among historians.
His view has changed recently. Like Bart Ehrman's view now is that there's too much uncertainty between the early manuscripts and like a pre-Orthodox conspiracy that he has no certainty about what any truth that's contained. He's just trying to pump out another book or something, I guess. But his views change, godless.
He's probably just giving in to the atheist whining that he's an asshole about it.
I mean, I mean, there could have been a historical Jesus. I just think we just lack a lot of information. You know, we just don't have enough information to know, you know, pretty much anything about the historical Jesus. You know, very little.
Well, I mean, I
You
would
know,
agree with very little, but look, I mean, how much do we know about Pontius Pilate? Like fucking nothing, you know? Like, I mean, how much do we know about a lot of people? Like fucking nothing. And so very little for someone 2,000 years ago might be actually given the context of really, really amazing amount of information.
Right. You know, Pilate, we have some independent sources for, and you know,
There are none. None exist. And the only ones that exist that speak about him are so late that no one will ever put any claim to them. They're medieval manuscripts. Not one exists. I dare you to look. I looked up one time because Bart Ehrman has this in his book, and I couldn't believe my own fucking eyes. There's nothing. There's fucking nothing. Not a damn thing. If you find it, I'd love to see it. There's nothing.
oh, Philo talked about Pilate. We have Philo, I think Josephus,
Philo
and
existed in the
Tacitus.
1st century BC. Pilate,
No,
I don't know if their reigns overlap. Can someone check? I might be wrong. I could be wrong on this.
Philo's 1st century CE. Philo could have, you know,
No, Philo's
would have
1st
been a
century
contemporary
BC.
of Jesus.
BC. Philo.
No,
1st century.
CE. So
So
easy enough to look up in Wikipedia.
Just pull up the wiki real quick. When did Philo write? I'm thinking it's 1st century BC. And if that's true, dude, it's impossible for him to write on Pilate. I could be wrong, but let's find out. Because Philo was from Alexandria, and Alexandria, Egypt, the time in which he was writing, I'm almost certain of this. It's like almost, can someone, the wiki should have already been up by now.
Yeah, so Wiki has him born 20 BCE and he died 50 CE.
Okay, well that's fine. So let's say that Philo wrote on him. There's like nothing else, man. And then what Philo wrote is dwarfed by what's in the Bible, or what's in the Bible, I mean. And so there's almost nothing about Pilate that we could know. But just in virtue of that, it almost seemed like you were trying to say, look, there's almost nothing we can know about the historical Jesus, so let's just cast doubt on his historicity in the first place. Look, there's even less we know about Pilate. You want to throw Pilate in the trash? And I don't think you want to throw Pilate in the trash. I think you want to meander your way to some argument where we should give more validity to non-theological, like imposed figures. And I mean, there must be some type of argument for that. Like you might be able to drum up some type of inductive inference against stuff in the past, you know, that have been done this and that have been wrong or something. But
we don't, you know, no one disputes the historicity of Pilate because we have 3 independent sources for him.
well, we have the Pilate stone and stuff like that. But all I was saying is, it's not about the independentness. I wasn't keying in on whether it was independent or whatever. I was keying in on there being less information on Pilate than there is on Jesus. And now here's the argument. I've already just said it, but if you think that because there's so little information upon Jesus, about the historical Jesus, that maybe we should be skeptical about his existence at all. There's even less information about the historical Pilate. Do you want to be skeptical of him at all? And so, Like if you think the inferences hold, you have to drop one or the other. It's kind of what I'm trying to forward here.
Well, no, I disagree. We have, again, we have three independent objective reports on Pilate. They had no theological interest in proving the existence
Yeah,
of
they add
Pilate.
up to like a paragraph.
Where with the Gospels, they're just written for
Yeah, they add
theological
up to like a
reasons. They're
paragraph and a
embellishment.
half.
They have the stories basically taken from the Old Testament and Greek sources and so forth that make up the story of Jesus. You know, it's this theological dogma where we don't have that with Pilate.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, again, there's only like a paragraph and a half. If you look at what Philo writes about Pilate, it's like brief passing. More is written about Pilate in the Gospels. And so what I'm telling you is I'm not talking about the independency of the sources. I'm just talking about the little amount of information. You're like, oh, there's not much we can say about Pilate. I don't know if we're having this much trouble with this kind of argument, maybe we could just move on to something else on the subject. Because if you were to look up like the wiki on Pilate, there's like almost nothing for him, and a lot of the shit comes like super late, and a good bit of it derivative. And so if it's derivative, they just throw out the later sources because they can tell because of the linguistic and textual fingerprint that they're interrelated. So they just throw all those out. I think there was one other historian with a name that starts with a C that wrote on Pilate. That's it. And but I mean, even if you were to hold to Pilate, and there's a lot that we know, and if we were to pick out a lot more key figures, there's even less. Like some of the high priests of Jerusalem. Like if you were to look up the record, right? Because there was a lineage. You know, they have one who succeeded the other, who succeeded the other, who succeeded the other. These guys were the most powerful religious figures in an area dominated by this religion. And what you'll notice is we know fucking nothing about them. I mean, would you be willing to say that we should not think that they're historical figures on that basis?
Well, no. Again, they come from more independent sources that don't have any theological agenda into proving their status. I mean, if you just mention a historical leader, briefly, there's I don't think there's any reason to doubt that person existed because there's it's not a big deal.
Okay, so if you were to take something like the Josephus passage on James, the brother of Jesus, who a good deal of scholars don't think is interpolated, there's a passing reference to Jesus there, and so what would you say to that? Are you going to just say that they added that in there too?
Well, I think some claims it's interpolation, but I don't think we need to go there. I think some say that passage is talking about about the death of James, and the brother of Jesus was I think a high priest at the time. So it could have been really a different Jesus they're talking about.
Yeah. But I mean, most scholars don't follow that view, and the reason is because most scholars don't throw out the Gospels like you do, and they want to use some of it. And so when they see things arrive like from these independent sources and the passing reference by Flavius, and then they see things like, oh look, Jesus is claiming to have a brother. His name is claimed to be James. From these, like that adds some veracity to it. And so I'm just saying, like doesn't seem to be controversial that most mainline scholars think that that's the case, and that's why. So like, here's the hypothesis. So we could form like two hypotheses. Hypothesis one is that this James and this Jesus are the James and Jesus of the religious connotation. Hypothesis two is that this is just another person named James and another person named Jesus who were in these type of roles, although they're not the same people. Now, as we begin to check these hypotheses with other data points, the second hypothesis falls every time, and almost no critical scholar is like jumping out their knees to write a big paper on why it's not. that just leads us to the conclusion is that, yeah, it's likely that it is James, the brother of Jesus Christ. And then the passing reference, since you love passing references, that goes ahead and gives us some veracity. Because look, I mean, think about what you just said, Floyd. We have passing references to the priests. And you're saying, look, disinterested passing reference with no theological context, that looks like good evidence. Now I'm bringing the very same thing. Here's an uninterested passing reference of Jesus, no theological context, and you're not going for this. So I'm thinking that both inferences are the same. And if you deny one of the inferences, I want to know the disanalogy.
Again, I'm pretty skeptical when historians like do correlations with gospel data, because I don't think the gospel data is reliable enough. They're trying to, they come across something and they take the gospel data as a given. And I don't think you can do that.
No, that's not what I'm saying, nor is that what I asked you. Okay, what I'm asking you is, you think, okay, so I gave you an example about there's passing references in the what is it called, the lives of the Jews. What is that called? That he wrote about the Jewish people. Whatever that one is. In that he writes
Antiquity of the Jews.
Yeah, say it one more time, Floyd.
Antiquity of the Jews.
Antiquities of the Jews. That's right. The Antiquities of the Jews. Josephus writes this part where he creates a very brief, some with a little more description, some with very little, some with none, lineage of high priests in Jerusalem, or wherever it was. I think in Jerusalem, but I don't want to be nailed down to that. But when he did write that, I presented that to you and I said, look, here all we have is just one single thing on these people that all exist, and it's just a very passing reference and a chronology. What do you think about that? And you said, well, I mean, it's not theological. It doesn't have, and it's a passing reference. And yeah, I think that might be reason to think that those priests live. Okay, and so I take it that you're drawing an inference there, and the the inference is that passing references and disinterest, no theological context equals some type of historical veracity. Now, I'm trying to make an analogy between that and the passing reference featured in the or not the testimonium, but a couple books later on James, the brother of Jesus, where it's very brief, no theological stuff exists there, unless you think the Christ is theological. And most people don't necessarily want to add that to be theological, because that's just that's just the title that he was called, and so when you give that, that's a passing reference, no theological content, but you want to deny that. And if one inference holds, why not this one? What's the disanalogy? So I want you to say the disanalogy between the two is whatever.
Well, again, it's just passing, but can we say it's about Jesus of Nazareth? I mean, there was a high priest that time. It was Jesus ben. Hold on, let me find his name. Yeah, it's Jesus ben Damnaeus, and some scholars think that fits better than Jesus of Nazareth, because there was a dispute with the high priest, Jesus ben Damnaeus at the time. So that's what the passage could be about.
I mean, unless you think that Damnius was referred to as the Christ, and it's more likely that Damnius had the title of the Christ, then I think you have a good argument. But obviously, that just seems silly. I mean, most of those arguments. I mean, Carrier forwarded that argument, and a couple of other people, but it's not very popular.
Well, he was high priest. He would probably have the role of anointed one, Messiah. So. But Josephus wouldn't recognize Jesus as Messiah, or definitely as Christ.
Yeah, I agree. But there's a difference between, if you look at the testimonium where he said he was the Christ. It's pretty serious interpolation there. But who was in the James one? It just said Jesus who was called the Christ. That's not the same. And so what he said, all he's saying is historically this guy was referred to under this title. The first one in the testimonium that was interpreted, he outright calls him the Christ. So there's no reason to think that that passage is interpolated on that basis, just because he said the one who was called the Christ. No reason.
Yeah, well, I mean, that could have been his title at the time as well. So.
I know, but like if you were to apply the Damnius argument, it falls victim in the same way that it doesn't have the multiple points of intersection. And so as we began to form the hypothesis about Damnius, the one who was called Christ, which has no other references in any other literature of him having that title, and then we go to other ones which do about Jesus, I mean, it just falls apart. You can't have a hypothesis like that and expect it to hold up. I mean, like if you just were to look at the bare bones kind of disarray of what it takes to have a good hypothesis like that, that's fucking terrible. I mean, think about what that would mean if we were to accept some type of hypothesis about it's more likely that that Jesus here refers to Damnius, even though it doesn't say Damnius here. It only says so in a previous passage. And the only reason we have to think it's Damnius is because his name is Jesus. Okay. And on that basis, he was called the Christ, and that's the firmest evidence we have because that's all we've got. And then we're going to compete that hypothesis versus an ulterior hypothesis that he was called the Christ, which was brother of James, which is accorded to by Paul, which is accorded to by the Gospels, and which, depending on how you take like other people in history, like Pliny the Younger, may or may not have references as well to Jesus, you know, and we could go through others. And I'm not even sure if that's necessary, because if you look at the hypothesis, yours is already done on square one, and I have heaps of more evidence. And like so I mean, you're never getting anywhere with that hypothesis ever. I mean, it's almost laughable that you would pull that card this many years later.
Again, you know, you're using the Gospels as data points, and I just don't think you can do
They're
that.
historical documents. They were records written in a certain point in history, and I'm taking them piecemeal, okay, with anything that can correlate to any other record, which is all historians do. Okay, that's multiple attestations. Or all I'm doing is I'm just taking the historical method, and we're just going to work our way down it and find out which hypothesis has more. And you're scraped the whole way through on the Damnius thing. So I mean, no getting around it. Look how slim the hypothesis is. The hypothesis has 3 points of three data points. His name was Jesus, okay? And we relate that to Damnius because previously another Jesus was called Damnius, even though there's 53 other Jesuses named in this book, but we prefer Damnius on what basis? Oh, no basis. Okay, and then if we look and see that he was called the Christ, now let's see if we can hit that data point with anything, and nothing else comes back. That's it. That's your whole hypothesis stated as fully and as charitably as anyone could state it. And then look at mine. Boom. Here we go with Paul. Here we go with the Gospels. Here we go with other different points, like Josephus, one whom you think is beyond reproach, obviously, because of all your arguments in the Nativity are set up on the basis of Josephus. So you think he's beyond reproach in most instances, and so there you have it. Look, I have multiple data points, multiple attestation. Let's go down the historical method. Multiple attestation, boom, boom, boom. Go down yours, and you're just done. So what would a good historian do that wasn't just trying to scrap the Bible because he's got some bias? You know what would a good historian do? He'd say, yeah, I mean, the Pi hypothesis that it was Jesus called Christ in the religious context is way more valid than him being Damnius, and that's just, I mean, I couldn't say it any better.
Well, I mean, it's certainly a possibility. I don't rule it out at all.
No, it's more likely. No, it's not that it's possible. Of course it's possible. It's way fucking more likely than the Damnius, on the basis of which I described. I'm speaking it's way more likely, not way more possible. And then when you start to use the same historical method and you start to inquire about things that we can say with pretty good certainty about the historical Jesus, I mean, there's a good bit that we could say there that a lot of historians agree on as well. And I would just use the same type of criterion there. And as you can see, the picture starts to build. And I mean, obviously, there's a ton more stuff we'd have to address about the actual instances of contradiction, etc. But I think that's a healthy start for anyone that wanted to debate you. Like, that's where I'd be putting a lot of my chips in.
I mean, what do you think? What historical facts do you think we can know about the historical
Well,
Jesus?
I don't think there's many, and I want to be as concise as possible. So I'd say this: say there was a man that existed in the first century Jerusalem, most likely in the 30s, who died in the 30s, who was claiming to be the Messiah and was preaching a controversial message and was crucified for blasphemy under Pontius Pilate, etc. during that time. And I think most historians are going to want to say no more than that. And I mean, that's fairly comfortable because if you look at all the other priests that we were talking about, fucking, we don't know how old they are or anything. I mean, nothing at all. I mean, so we're way more firm on those guys, on Jesus, than those guys, and you want to keep those guys around.
You have early church fathers not even agreeing on when Jesus was crucified, and also you have people thinking that refers to a Jesus who died under Alexander Denius around 100 BCE. So I mean, it's all over the place.
Well, it depends. So you could make an argument like that, but the way that you make an argument like that is not just that some other contradictory source exists. It's the number of those sources, the attestation of those sources, the credibility of those sources, etc. And once you look at it, there's not very many sources that claim that. Not many people held that view. Doesn't have many points of attestation and contact. I mean, that one falls apart in the same way the Damnius thing falls apart. So, I mean, I don't know what more I can say there either.
What do you think about the fact that, you know, the Jesus that we have in the writings today is more likely an amalgamation of several characters?
Well, that's a popular view on the internet troll sites or whatever, but no real scholars believe about the amalgamation theory. It's given all the points of contact we have on a certain person and none others that actually could be filed in. Like, most of that argument goes something. It's a very, that argument as I've seen presented, and you may or may not know a different form, but the argument that I've seen presented is a very weak inductive argument. It usually follows something like this: there were a lot of prophets who were claiming a lot of crazy shit. Why think that there was just one? Maybe it was just a bunch of them. They just put them all together. You know,
No,
that's
I'm looking specifically at the colliery between Jesus Barabbas from AD 70, as well as looking at Jesus that we have from, you know, the 30s and that writing, rather than looking at the BC. Because one of the things I find in the area, and I agree, I don't think all of it is just an amalgamation sloshed together. I just think some nice stories. They all, you know, Jewish writers always like a good story. And I think the parallels between the trial of Barabbas, the outcome of how he got caught, what he was doing, that there are a lot of analogies there that work quite well in the Jesus story, and especially with the relation to the post-destruction of the temple in AD 70.
Yeah, I'm going to head down to the pool.
And how that was prophesied in books written after AD 70. You know, I
So
just think
I'm
that's
not-
a nice kind of sort of tie-up.
We're gonna get going. Talk to you guys later.
Okay, see you, man.
Take
So
care,
I'm getting what I think is like two different arguments. One is referring to Barabbas in the Gospels, who was not called. Yeah, he was not called Jesus.
Yes.
Okay, and then you said someone else was called Jesus Barabbas, and then you wanted that one existed in the 70s or something. Are you confusing those two people, or?
No, I'm talking about Jesus Barabbas.
Oh, well, look, let's let's just, I don't remember his name being Jesus Barabbas, but I mean, I suppose that I could be mistaken about that. Would someone just post that for me?
His full name was Yeshua Bar Abba, which
Yeah,
is
I assume that this
Yeshua,
is
the son of Abba.
no, what I'm
Yeshua,
saying,
actually, it's Yeshua, the son of the Father.
no, Yeshua does not mean that. The root, the
No, Bar
triune root,
Abba means that.
yeah, son of the Father.
I'm happy with my Hebrew, man. Don't worry about that.
Son of the Father is what it translates to.
Yeah,
But
that's
look,
exactly what I just said.
yeah, I know that. So look, given what you've said, there must be some passage in the Bible where Barabbas is called Jesus.
His name was Yeshua.
Well, like there must be some passage in the Bible where he was called Yeshua, which just means he saves or he brings salvation. That's what Yeshua means. And so,
Yes.
where in the Bible was he called Yeshua Barabbas? That's all I'm asking.
Don't know if they name him Jesus, but I don't think they call him Jesus in the Bible. But I know that we've got that from outside the Bible. It's
Okay, that's where I started. Now you're conflating two different sources and trying to pretend that they're the same person. And what reason or basis do you have to think that those people at all even refer to the same person?
It has been something put forward by a few biblical scholars. Israel Finkelstein is one. That this particular part of the story, the temple destruction in AD 70, and connecting it to a messianic revolutionary figure at the time who was called Yeshua Bar Abba.
Okay. Well, I only know, I don't know of any of that information. And so I'm not doubting its existence. I just don't, I'm ignorant of it. And I don't think that they call him Jesus or Yeshua in the Bible. And so, I mean, you're just going to need to, like, given my ignorance, you're just going to need to fill in the gaps or like post some links or something. Or we'll have a conversation again another day once I check it out. Or I don't expect you to dig it up right now.
Cool. Yeah, no, I'm in here on and off, so that's fine. I'll post up some links. I'll message you. What I'll do so I don't forget is I will just. Oh gosh, which one are you? Is it J Money, isn't it? Yeah, so a couple of people worth referencing is Israel Finkelstein, Max Demont, Benjamin Umatea. These are all biblical scholars who are looking into this particular notion, and there's some nice evidence to back up what they're saying. Whether it's valid or not, who knows? It's history. So.
Yeah, I've gotten pretty dizzy, so I'm just going to mute and listen.
No worries, J Money. I'll take a note and I'll send you some posts. Sorry, I killed that conversation.